What's going on, guys? Kivox here, and welcome to a new WandsDay. I don't know what day this is coming out. Obviously, if you're on Patreon, you're probably seeing this first before the rest of the few people that watch my videos. The important thing is that I have 8 new wands to show you guys today, and I'm also going to be trying something a little bit different. I'm going to be kind of trying to give you guys some tips on how I made it, kind of explaining certain parts if I can, without actually showing you what I did, because I can't do that right now. But anyway, hopefully in the future I'll be able to show you guys how to make all these different types of wands. I pretty much learn new tricks and tips every time I'm making a wand. None of them are ever the same, so it's always a learning process, and that's part of the fun of making wands, is that I'm always learning something new with every new wand that I make. And then every once in a while I'll just kind of pull from all these different things that I've learned, and I kind of mash them all up into one. Those are even better because they're usually a little bit easier to make, but they come out the next level of niceness, I guess is the best way to put it, because I've done something similar to it before. It makes it a lot easier to try to redo that little section of it. Anyway, I'm gonna try to teach you guys a couple things in this video, and also if you guys are on Patreon, remember you guys do get first dibs. Some of you guys have already seen some of these and you guys have already called it, but on Patreon, if you guys are interested, just message me now that you're gonna get to see the wands a little bit better. And if you want to join the Patreon so that you do get first dibs at the wands, and also you get to join the Discord, and we have some conversations with us on there and stuff. The link will be at the end of the video, also in the description. If you don't want to support us, no big deal. Just like this video if you did like it. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry. I do talk a lot. I'm gonna probably talk a lot in this video too, so sorry. Like I said, I have 8 new wands for you today, from somewhat traditional classic style wands to more obscure, random ideas mashed up and made wands. Let's start off with this guy. This is actually made of mahogany. I originally was gonna have a bigger handle here, but then I decided that this spiral would have looked nice going into the handle. And then there's also a little metal bit on the end here with a little bit of purple inlay in there. And I tried to make it like look like it was a worn wand, right? Because whoever gets this wand, it's not really made to be, none of my wands really are made to be tossed around and stuck in a bag and stored and everything, but it's made to be displayed. It's made to be put on a display somewhere and looked at, and taken down every once in a while and given it a nice swish and flick. But other than that, they're collectibles. That's how I see them, at least. So they are somewhat fragile, and I kind of add a little bit of wear to them for the most part, just to kind of take away from you having to beat them up yourself. It does have some wear and tear on the actual little metal bit at the end here. I actually have another wand that uses the same metal piece, but in like a brass color, or more of a bronze. It uses a bronze color. I'll show you guys that one next. The purple in there, it's just kind of like it's a really nice dark purple, so you can't really, I feel like it doesn't take away from the actual wand design. I love the finish of mahogany though. It looks super nice. This was made fairly simply. I cut it down to the general shape, and then with a circular sander, I started sanding away all of these parts here while spinning it, and keeping in mind that I didn't want it to be the same thickness here as I wanted it to be here. I wanted it to be a little bit fatter here so that you could hold it. It definitely has that Dooku style or Bellatrix style holding way thing. It's a very comfy wand. I think whoever ends up picking this one up is going to be very happy with the fit on it. I think the finish came out pretty well, pretty good, pretty nice as well. Yeah, I really it's a super simple design. This is what I was talking about. Some of these are going to be super duper simple, but this one is just, in my opinion, just looks classy almost. I think classy is the best way to put it. So now this next wand was made out of, I'm not sure how to say this. It is a Bocote or Bocote, Bocote. Okay, that's what it's made out of. It looks like this, and the grain looks like this. Beautiful wood, looks great. Here's that wand, and this is the one that I said has the other piece on here. The reason I went with the bronze color one on this is just because it just matches the wood really well. It makes it look like it's part of the wood. I didn't want it to really stand out because I didn't want it to be a just a wand and then a thing at the end. Unlike this one, which I did want that, but as you can see from the side, it really doesn't have anything going on. And then even from the bottom, it just looks like it looks like it's part of the wand, right? I did sand this down so that it's perfectly flush with it. And I think that basically makes it fit better. Now this one, I wanted it to be protruding a little bit and have this little bit of a border of the wood on there. So I didn't want it to be perfectly flush, but I also didn't want it to be popping out too much. I didn't want the color to stand out too much. I kind of wanted it just to look like it's like a part of the wood, but made out of metal. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? For the most part, this was made on a lathe, except for when I went to go make this. I left this a little bit fatter so that then I could go in and give it this little bit of a bend. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's straight and it kind of goes up a little bit and then it straightens back out. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's not perfectly straight. You guys know that I don't like lathe wands. I don't like making wands perfectly on a lathe. So that's why I do things like this. That's why I'll either make the blade a little bit different or I'll make the handle a little bit different. But there's also a little bit of burning because I wanted to burn the edges ever so slightly on this just to kind of give it a little bit more pop. Meekachii pointed out something awesome about this one. Because of all the grain that goes horizontally this way, and then you have the lines here going vertically, it really makes it kind of look almost trippy. Like it makes it look really weird and like it just, I think it came out really good. I am excited about using this piece for something else. I think it's gonna be, it's just a cool looking wood with like some really crazy grain. It's also a pretty tight grain. It's not too loose. At least the piece that I got wasn't too loose, so it definitely gives it a good finish at the end. I don't know if you guys can see here, but there's a spiral part of the grain here that just landed right on this piece, and it looks really cool because of the way that it tapers up, but the grain is still the same all the way through. Just gives it that interesting, like, catchy to the eye. All right, so now next up is this one's another like simple design that I worked on, and I definitely, it's a weird one because what I wanted it to look like, these are like shirt buttons that I found that I thought looked really cool. They kind of reminded me of they reminded Meekachii, and then I was just like, oh my god, that's a great idea. They reminded us of like an instrument buttons, and I was trying to kind of make these look like they were like buttons, but not shirt buttons, but like buttons, like you could press them like a flute or something. Wait, how do you play a flute? This way? Is it this way? Or is it this way? I'm gonna guess it's this way. Or is it? No, it's definitely not that way. That would be weird. Who does that? That's how I play the fruit. I said fruit. This one's made out of walnut. I sanded the ever-living heck out of it. I used another sander to get these facets here. I didn't want them to be perfectly even, so as you can tell, this one goes up super high, this one's a little bit lower, this one's even lower, this one's somewhere in the middle. I just tried to make it look very naturally done. Also, this one is burned, so this whole end here is burned, and then it lightens up as it goes up. And then we also have, if you guys look closely here, you will see some little some silver dry brushing on there. I kind of wanted to bring some of that dry brushing on from the color here, the silver from this onto here. I also did a little bit of texturing on the actual little buttons themselves to give it a little bit of just a little bit of wear looking. I do really like this wand. It's a simple pommel heavy. It's not that crazy. It's just a nice darker looking wand, and I mean darker physically, color darker, not spirit, you know, not a darker spirit to the wand. Both of these as well, I would say, are pretty neutral. This one's pretty neutral as well. Just because it's a darker color doesn't mean that it's a darker wizard wand. It's mostly just a nice simple design. All right, so let's move on to another simple design. Some of you guys don't like the more complex design, so with this batch of wands, I tried to make some of them more organic and more just not with a lot of stuff on it. Even though the previous three all have some sort of little doodad on it, this one's just wood. This one's made out of Bloodwood. I believe it's right around 12 inches long, and it's definitely a very cool, in my opinion, very cool organic looking design. So these actually are just one ring here, and then we got this nice little ball end, which, you know, feels really good in your hand if you're pommeling it. And then we have a nice little twist, a deep twist here that goes all the way around, and then a more shallow twist that comes around this side, kind of lightly, I don't know if you guys can see it, it lightly goes into the handle here. And then we just have, you know, the rest of the handle. It is more of a traditional style. It does have a guard, it does have a pommel, it does have the correct ratios, nice straight blade, but it's just a nice simple, a little bit on the shorter side, around 12 inches like I said. But I think for the right person, this one's definitely a cool one. For the most part, it was all done on, besides breaking it down, getting the general size with the saw down, it was for the most part done with a Dremel, and just a lot of sanding and changing sanding bits, because the woods will go through that like crazy. If you're burning your bits, or you're burning your wood, I would recommend possibly reducing the speed on it. It won't burn as much because it's not going to be getting as hot, and yeah, so just a lot of sanding this way, basically. So you take your bit and you just pop it in there, and then just kind of go around, get it to a certain. This one's the hardest because you have to basically keep it here, but then switch directions, and then switch directions back down this way, and continue to go without getting it that way. It's a lot easier to do a spiral, because the spiral, you just basically keep the cutting bit there, and you just keep turning it, and then you start over or go backwards. And that definitely is a lot easier to do than to try to do something like this, where you have a ring. I think it would be pretty cool to do a whole handle this way. I think I may make that at some point. Just this style of it almost looks like a mushroom on the top here, but this style all the way down it, and then kind of slowly tapering it to a smaller size. I'll probably be working on that this weekend. We're halfway through. We have 4 wands left, and I just want to tell you guys, if you do want to submit your wands for wand review, my plan as of right now is to do wand review 1 week, and then new WandsDay the next week, and then wand review again, and then so on and so forth, right? So this week you guys get new WandsDay, next week you guys get wand review, and hopefully I can do some other videos as well. We're still doing all our book stuff too, if you guys are here for that. Book club, TBRs, all that fun stuff, and then unboxings here and there. So hopefully you guys are as excited for that as I am. I'm trying to find time to do everything, and I think every other week it gives me a little bit more time to work on some wands, get a good amount done, and then be able to post them and make the videos. So that's the plan. If you guys want to submit your wands for wand review, send them over to newwandsday@gmail.com, and you know, it'll take a little while for me to get to them, but I do still have a lot of backlog, so I'm trying to get through most of them. If you sent them a long time ago and you want to resubmit them, feel free. Just let me know if you did already send them, and if I did please don't resubmit them if I already showed your wand, because I'll just probably ignore it and stuff. So there are a few small, minor, little baby rules that I would like for you guys to follow. They are down below, but for the most important one is try to take a picture of the wand like this. I mean, you could even hold the wand in front of you like this and take it, but do you see how much space I have here and how much space I have here and here and here? Try to do that. You could do it this way, whatever way, or just put it on a table and take a picture of it like that. That's okay too. But try not to, don't take a picture of it like that, or like even this way or this way. Just try to get a decent picture of a, I can always zoom in as long as the quality is good enough. So yeah, hopefully I get some good pictures in focus. Take it outside when it's nice and bright and take a picture there, because that's your best bet. That's the best lighting, is when it's a nice sunny day outside. Let's get back to these wands. Hopefully you guys like them. If you guys have been here for a while, you'll know that I talk about how keeping it simple is your best bet. If you feel like you can't make something, you could always try it. But if you feel like it's not going to be as good as you want it to be, take a break from it. Go make something else and then come back to it. That's basically what I did with this, because I wasn't liking how it was turning out, and then I finally figured out what was wrong. So this guy is actually one of the shell wands that I was working on for a while. This is actually a real shell right up until here, and then this is all wood here. Originally I had some patterns going vertically. That's what's still left over on this. If you guys can see, it's kind of hard to see, but there are still some vertical patterns on here. This is basically black and with a little bit of gold, and the reason I put the gold in there is just because, I like black and gold. I think it looks really good, but I don't like all black wands. I don't know, I just thought it was a little boring, so I was like, ooh, let me put a little bit of gold in there. So basically what I did here was I carved out all of these grooves going in the same pattern as the shell was, where it goes this way and it slowly works its way down. I did a couple of overlapping ones. Originally I had some grooves cut out vertically, kind of all random, to kind of make it look like wood grain, but it didn't flow well with this. This was too much of a spiral, and I didn't love how it looked. I definitely think that once I added in that spiral, it came together finally, and now it's a nice, you could definitely stab somebody with this. Whoever gets this, don't stab anybody with it, please. It's not a stabby thing, and it'll probably break because this is very fragile and it is made out of a shell. So it is a real shell. This is real wood and this is real shell, and they are glued together right here. Definitely painting it black helped the transition of it, because the color of the wood and the color of the shell wasn't as good. So I did plan on either painting just the middle and kind of fading it up and fading it down, but the wood itself was really, really light, and it just looked kind of weird. It was I believe it was maple, but it was a very, very light maple. So I was like, I don't know if I like how this looks. So I ended up painting it a little bit more black, and then I got to the point where I was like, oh man, this whole wand looks really cool in black, and I think it definitely looks a lot cooler. I almost feel like it's the type of wand that you would hold like this, with like a long thing, or even this way, like a pop pencil or something. Like I was gonna say a chopsticks, but like chopsticks basically. I feel like it's the type of wand that you would, almost like a gun or something, you would hold it this way, because this is so long and you don't really want to hold it here, because that's just, one, it's not comfortable, but it's also gonna break if you do that. So whoever gets this wand, please, please, please be very careful with it. I will pack it extremely well, like I do all the other wands. There'll be a ton of bubble wrap on this, and it's gonna be nice and tightly wound up, and just please be very careful with it, because it's the only one of like this. So just be careful, please. Keep it on the shelf. Don't play around with it. Don't drop it. Please don't drop it. If you drop it, you could probably just paint whatever breaks off. You could probably just paint it with some black paint, and it would just look kind of cool, because it'll be like a broken shell with like, that may be cool. I don't know. So if you guys have been with me for a little while, you'll know that I got all of the Fantastic Beasts 2 wands, movie Noble Collection wands. If you guys want to go check that video out, video's right up there. Bing. But I did not like Skender's wand, which was this guy right here. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, and I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a walking stick or something. Ended up being that it was a walking stick. It ended up being a walking stick in the thing. So I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna complain about it. That's nifty. I like it. So what I did for this one is I took inspirations from this one. I basically took as much as I could without blatantly ripping it off. Of course, I had to do the red ball at the end. But what I did is, you know what, I'll just show you guys. So here it is. As you can see, it's very inspired by, but obviously you can't put a red ball at the end of anything and it not look like similar to this, right? Right? Do you agree? So here's what I did. This is actually made out of red heart here, and then this is mahogany. So up until here, it's red heart, and then the mahogany actually goes into the red heart a little bit to, you know, combine them together. And then this is all painted black, and then you see how this one has the strips going down it like that. Instead of painting that on that way, what I did was I actually painted most of this here black, and then I went back in and I scraped away some of the black to give it a. You guys may have some trouble seeing it. So hopefully you guys can see some of that. So it's kind of like this, where it goes down, but more organic, more natural looking, more just kind of like messy looking. I think that looks cooler. There's also a little bit of gold inside this black, again, just to kind of emulate or take inspirations from this little gold band on here, but I kept it more I don't want to say neutral, but more tame, just the black with a little bit of gold flake almost in there. And then obviously I added in this, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the top has this black has a little bit of gold in it as well. But I added a little bit of black and gold on the top and black and gold around the bottom to kind of basically give it this fake shadow blend here. I think it looks really cool. Definitely super pommel heavy, not actually heavy. This part of the wood is actually heavier than this. This red heart is actually really, really light, even though it's a big bulbous ball at the end of it. I think it looks really good. I think the red heart looks, it's naturally red. It's not painted red, which makes it look cooler, in my opinion. It's also two different types of wood, which some people may like that, some people may not. It's really, to taste. But I think this wand came out super cool, and will definitely remind people of the Skender wand. If you guys don't remember who he is the owner of the Circus Arcanus from Fantastic Beasts 2. The next two wands are actually, they're kind of similar to each other, but completely different. I know, right? What the hell does that mean? So we have this purple one right here, which is made out of purple heart. And then we have this other one right here, which is made out of beech wood, I believe. And then it also has a rose quartz little crystal thing. Or what is it? Is it a crystal? Gem? It's a gem. It has a rose. This is raw rose quartz, so it's very, looks like a stone, but it's a little pink. It has a little bit of a pink hue to it. I don't know if you guys can see the pink hue, but it's a very light pink. And then this is made out of purple heart, and it just, the blade is painted black. And then right here, I made this divide on it because I wanted it to almost look like, how Harry's wand or Ron's wand has that split on it where it's like the bark and then the center of the bark. I wanted it to look like that, but then I wanted this part to look somewhat like uniform. And what I think is funny about this is that it definitely reminds me of like an Arrowhead, like a cartoon style Arrowhead. And it's a cool wand. This is just like a really, really cool wand. Again, this right here was really interesting for me because I had these two, I don't even know how long, but I had these both for at least 3-4 months now or something like that. And I've just been fiddling around with an idea for them. And every time I tried to use them, it didn't look good. I had a couple break even on me because I was trying to put these up here, but then it was too thin, and then it ended up breaking. So I don't even remember. I don't even know what happened to that wand. But this one, I definitely really like this wand. It's probably one of my I think it's still my favorite out of all of these that I've made. It's super cool. It's very pommel heavy. Obviously, it's you would hold it. I would hold it at least like this, like very much pommel. Just everything in the pommel. That's where all the weight is. That's where it feels right to hold. You can see that it's. Let's see where the balance is there. So it's definitely pommel heavy, but you know, not too bad. If you look right here, there's actually 2 little parts to this. So I did 1 layer here and then another layer. This was all done just with sanding down, cutting a bit, paint. Obviously, this is just acrylic paint. For the most part, that's what I use is acrylic paint, unless I want to do a stain. If I'm doing a stain, then I'll use a stain. If I'm doing, if I just want to get like a black blade, I will do a black blade, you know, just paint it with acrylic paint. So obviously all of this here was painted as well. And then I didn't actually do any burning on this. It's all just paint. I didn't want to, I didn't need to burn it because burning gives you a different effect. For the most part, it'll give you some little highlights on the edges. I wanted the opposite. I wanted the edges to stay purple. And this is a weird purple too. It's not like a deep purple. It's more of like a maroon purple. It's like if you took maroon and mixed it with purple. That's how I would describe the color. I love this wand. This arrowhead spear tip, whatever you want to call this, it's almost like you broke a spear off and you just have the end of it here. I mean, you know, you could even use it this way and then shoot yourself in the face. No, don't do that. But I think this one's super cool. And now the last one is this guy, which like I said, it's just reminds me, it has like some similar feeling to it. I don't know if it's all the facets that were sanded in and it just kind of reminds me of this, or if it's somewhat of the shape of it kind of reminds me of it. The fact that it's pommel heavy, the fact that this one has the brass color here from the metal wrap. I don't know what it is, but something reminds me of it, but it's like an opposite. It's like a mirror of it, where this one's nice and clean and straight and dark. This one's more of a little bit more messy and but light. And I don't know. It just something about these two. I almost feel like they kind of go together, right? I feel like are they the same size? Wow, they're so close. They're like a quarter of an inch maybe apart. Definitely. So this one has some white paint in it and then a little bit of black paint in it as well, because I wanted to kind of mix it up. You can see there's a lot of little nooks and crannies on this handle here. It definitely looks a lot different. It's obviously pommel heavy because it has a little stone at the end, so it's gonna be pommel heavy. This is my first time experimenting with any sort of stone like this at the end. I didn't want just like a crystal shaped gem at the end. They sell those. I literally have a bag of stones that I bought with different types of gems, and this is the one that I felt fit the thing that I wanted to make the most. This piece of metal is actually not holding it. I mean, technically it is tied and it is going around it and it is holding it there, but it's more cosmetic. It's actually glued to the top of the wood as well as tied in, so it's pretty sturdy. If you throw it at something or drop it on like stone or something or like a hard floor, it'll probably break. But just don't do that. Remember, store these somewhere nice and somewhere where little kids aren't going to play around with them. Can't really say too much about how it was made. For the hardest part was most definitely this section right here, was doing the wrap, especially since it was my first time working with any sort of metal gem tools and stuff. I wrapped all of these, so this is actually one strand that I wrapped together. to make these tight little, like almost like a braid of it. Just I thought that looked better than just the simple single string or single whatever band. I don't know. Wire? It's a wire, right? Yeah. I like this one. I love this one. And now I pass the question on to you guys. Which one was your favorite out of all of these? Like I said, that purple one, definitely my favorite. But I do like all of them. They're definitely all like very, very different from each other, and it's kind of hard to compare something that's so different, you know, when it comes to the styling of this one compared to, let's say, this one. They're just very different, even though they're made out of the same type of wood. They're very different styles, especially with the little thing at the end there, and it just, I would love to hear what you guys think and which one is your favorite. So feel free to leave a comment down below and submit your wands to newwandsday@gmail.com if you would like. If you don't want to, not a big deal. I am pretty honest about the reviews. I do tell you guys exactly what I think. So therefore, if you don't want to hear that, maybe don't submit them. Does that sound mean? I don't mean to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to warn you guys before you send them, and then you're like, why was he so mean? Oh my god. Because it happens. You guys, some of you guys whine a little bit. I don't want you guys to be whining at me. If you guys want me to try my hands at making anything else, any Harry Potter related stuff, feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys want to see. I do take every idea that you guys give me into consideration, even if it's not wand related. I do want to start branching off into some other stuff. I have made some other things in the past, so hopefully you guys like this video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go check out the Patreon if you want to support us. I hope to see you guys, or wait, I can't see you guys. I hope you guys join us in a future video, and thanks for watching. Bye.